Dear friend, let's discover more of who we are together. Love, Haley and Amanda.
Welcome back! Hey dear friends, thank you for joining us today and taking your time to listen in.
I'm really excited, but first off, this is our 80th episode.
Oh my gosh, what did the pirate say to the other pirate on his birthday?
I'm 80.
That's right! That's right!
I'm 80?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how I should
it.
have said it. I ruined these punchlines, man. Like the
do.
other day I did, what was it? Let me...
It's a
tell her-
pun for...
I said tell her. Like they're out there
Tell
as a
her.
person. Wait, what's the actual way to say the pun?
If you know a good fish pun, let me know.
But I said, if you know a good fish pun, let me minnow.
Nope, and that's just
saying minnow.
Let me minnow.
Like move around really fast.
And she also
let me just
says-
move around really fast.
She also says, because you can say, mayonnaise, a lot of people in here. Mayonnaise.
And I said, mayonnaise. There's a lot of people in here.
And that's just saying a sentence
with mayonnaise in
at the
front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dumb. But yeah,
I'm
it's
80.
I said it wrong. I'm 80, which is I'm 80.
Well, can you do the thing where it goes like, and reverses, and then we try again?
Yeah.
What did the pirate say to the other pirate on his birthday?
I'm 80.
Yes!
Yay! Let's just delete the first part. I'm kidding. So today we're talking about aging well.
Oh, the joke, the episode number, it is all just...
Yeah, we're
right
80
there,
years
it's
old
tight.
episode-wise, and we are looking good for 80, y'all. And we're going to tell
We
you our
both-
tips. We're both 80.
In our 80s.
Yeah, and we just want to tell you our tips and tricks for how we look so good at 80 years old. You ready?
We're going to give you 80 tips.
But before we jump in, we just want to say, even though we're talking about aging well, which might seem superficial to you at first, but we're going to get into it.
Oh, I need to hear this.
This is a young Pueblo poem that
Really?
ageist. We try to align every episode to this poem that says, an honest and deep conversation with a dear friend is sometimes the exact nourishment you need to regain clarity, get back up, face the world, and resume your mission with a new and focused energy. And that is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about, discuss things that matter to us and other people, and hopefully it makes us go back into the world as the people that we are and want to be.
And maybe it makes you have a conversation with somebody about this episode later, then that's a good conversation. And then you guys go out and
and
then they have a conversation.
Everybody
with
in the
someone
world
else.
is affected by how good aging well conversation with Dear
because we're
Podcast
here.
and we're genius.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that about us.
Signing off.
Bye. Call in 1-800-DEAR Friend
Hope you
Podcast.
age
If you have
well.
any questions.
I'm 80.
Let's do. I hate you right now. Let's do our pledge. You ready?
I am.
By the way, why we do this
Okay.
pledge, I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't. Except that we came up
Accept that.
We came
Just
up with
accept
it
that.
in the car, and now we refuse to not do it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United Mates in America, and rarely in public is where we stand. One friendship under God, stuck under there with her,
Under the limo.
indivisible,
With
live purdy.
holy smokes.
You almost did the real.
I
Are
know.
you crazy?
Oh my
That's
god.
deep.
I'm a traitor.
Live purdy and just us for all.
For all.
Earl
Williams.
Williams. Okay, so let's just hop right into this conversation about aging well.
If you're old, you shouldn't. You shouldn't hop. You should maybe just take a light step.
Yeah, you want to do the adjusted version of jumping in, just
Modified.
fall in, just fall into it. So just to give you some reference here, Haley and I are both in our 30s, and that's not a bad thing.
I know.
It's a
I'm
great thing.
kidding.
And so this is a topic that we talk about to each other about how we want to age gracefully and we want to age well. And it's not just about like physical aging, but it's also about like emotional aging and mental aging,
spiritual aging,
and also physical aging. So those are the three things that we want to talk about: physical aging, mental aging, and emotional aging. Because we all know as we get older, we are changing and we can't fight it. And society wants to make us feel weird about getting older, but we all know it's a privilege. And with age comes wisdom, and there's a lot of beauty in aging. And I feel like society wants us to fight it a lot. And I want to just do a little preface here.
Okay.
That none of this is judgmental towards anyone who does things to I guess reverse aging, or like actual like physical things. Like I'm thinking like plastic surgery and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an anti episode about any of that.
Or anti towards people that don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually when we were talking about this episode and getting into it, we got on this huge conversation about plastic surgery, and we were talking about how we feel about the topic personally, and then we started thinking about it, and it's like, well, then if you're going to judge stuff like that, well, then judge people who color their hair, like dye their hair to cover up grays, or like some things are acceptable to us to reverse aging, and then we judge other things. I don't know. It's just, it's your life. You should do the things that make you feel great about yourself and feel more like yourself.
Yeah. So again, at the heart of even this conversation is about being totally aligned to yourself and making sure your motives are in the most pure, aligned place. And then however that comes out,
is your decision, because it's your
decision.
life.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, from our perspective, how we've approached trying to age well. And that's why you're listening, because it's our perspectives, because it's just us for all.
And you know what? Turn it off if you don't like it.
It's just us for Pharrell Williams.
But if you do like it, call in
at 1-800-DEAR-FRIEND podcast.
It's too many
It's
numbers.
Too many numbers. You won't get a dial.
2 numbers.
Yeah, you won't be able to get a ringtone from that. Okay.
Okay, let's go. Physical.
Let's start in with the physical.
Let's get
physical. I'm gonna get physical. That's ugly. As singers, that hurt me physically. Stop. Okay, here we go. We're gonna jump into the physical. First thing, no matter what age you are, you're gonna notice changes, obviously, as you age. This is not new.
I look the same as when I was 18. I don't know what you're talking about.
You do not. So, I want to just say, I noticed major skin changes when I turned 30. And when I say when I turned 30, I mean like the week of my 30th birthday.
Weird.
I'm not kidding. Remember, my texture changed. I went to see like the facialist because I was kind of freaked out by it. I felt like things were happening like really fast.
And your skin has always been just like and it still to me looks like that.
Well,
but like porcelain, perfect. So you were like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah, I was really blessed and lucky. Like I didn't deal with acne or pimples, and all of a sudden I started getting like hormonal acne and different texture of my skin, and I was just kind of like, okay, aging, wow, you're gonna just slap me in the face like that? That's fine. Cool. So, and actually, it's funny. My brother, when he turned 40, he said the morning of his 40th birthday, he threw his back out. He threw his back out, and he was like, "Really? That's cool."
Sup, aging, cool.
Cool.
You also just read me a quote that said, "Adulthood's so cool because," or was it aging?
No, yeah, adulthood's so cool because one day you wake up and you're feeling a little tired, and it never goes away.
And then it never goes away.
And then you're just tired, So I'm just saying, personally, I noticed at 30, my skin was really changing. I know everybody's skin is different, but I just started noticing some of like the aging things that we see in our skin. Do you feel like that was similar for you, or what age do you think you started noticing changes like with your skin texture and all that, like our aging things?
I think that my biggest thing has been like in my 30s, I know that I'm realizing like the things that I put into my body and like a lack of exercise and stuff like that, it shows up on my body, like my weight and my like the form of my body,
Yeah, well, we're going to get into metabolism, but I mean like with your skin.
Oh, Yeah, probably similar as you.
Like early 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to say it's this weird dichotomy. Like when you're trying to be I don't know how to say it, but like aware, like a person who's like trying to be thoughtful about how you're approaching life, and then you're bombarded with
Oh my God.
culture and the societal idea around aging, and like right now fixing yourself and doing a lot of facial treatments and injections is like very big right now, especially targeted towards women, but men too. And it's just everywhere. And so like, especially with filters nowadays, like when there's filters, like there's such crazy filters on social media, it can be a little bit jarring whenever you see what people are doing, and then how, if you're not doing it, like comparing, like obviously the comparison game.
Oh man.
And so there's this, like, for me, there's this internal struggle with like, I do want to accept and love myself and my skin, how it's changing naturally. And then
like as being age appropriate beauty.
yes,
Yeah.
but then I also have this struggle with like, okay, but technology and science is progressing, and we do have the ability to do things that can prevent really harsh aging changes on us. And it's like, is that bad to do? Like I mean, I don't put color in my hair yet, but it's like people dye their hair. Like do I think that is bad? Like where's the line kind of? And again, this is where we're saying like, I don't think any of it's wrong, but I'm just saying it all goes back to, I think, what you're saying, like your intentions and like your motives for what you're doing. Like if you get a ton of work done because you're like, I'm so ugly, I want to look like this famous person who's so chiseled and blah 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 blah, and I want to change the way I look entirely. Well, like maybe that's not coming from the best.
And like attributing like your value
Excuse me.
to if
Excuse
you
me.
look this certain perfect way in comparison to someone else, like that doesn't seem very greatly motivated.
Right. But then like we were
But-
kind of talking about how if you start to see, and this is an example, like a wrinkle on your face, and you see maybe your mom has the same wrinkle and it's a lot deeper because she's a lot older than you, and you can do like preventative Botox where it just doesn't get as deep when you get older. Like, is that bad to want that? I don't know. It's your decision. It's a struggle for me to decide what I feel on it. But something else about skin is that we are bombarded with products. Holy Toledo. I remember when I turned 30 and I was like noticing the skin changes. Like I said, I did all of this research on what maybe like best skincare for people in their 30s. And I remember when I was like, I like went down this hole to get us a skin routine.
Right. And we have on one of our really early episodes, we have a segment
breakdown.
that it's like what Amanda's making Haley try. And she
It's
goes
quite
through
a list.
the whole, and I did it and it worked.
It
But
helped.
it changes all the time because of the amount
Of products. So I decided, I was like, I'm spending money and going to a real dermatologist who went to school for this and can assess my personal face and tell me like how I can age gracefully. And so I went to her, she assessed my face, and she gave me 3 products she thought I could use compared to like that list of
and you were
night and morning.
disappointed
No, I
because she
wasn't.
wanted a bigger routine.
No, I didn't. I actually loved that it was way shorter and it was just like more powerful products that were totally what my skin needed. And so for me personally, I loved having a professional assess me and
That's
tell me how like, you know,
I need to do that.
I can like, age well with my skin instead of being like, oh, this celebrity uses this product. Oh, this person's like throwing this product at me and ads all the time on Instagram. And then like you're trying stuff and you're spending all this money. So to me, I think it could be good if you're feeling like with your skin, you want to age well and gracefully, like maybe see a professional and have them assess your skin on a professional level because it's their job. Like that's what they went to school for.
I think I can contribute something
Oh,
to
I'd
skin.
love to hear it.
That comes from like my perspective and struggle. My skin, I think, an aging issue I would have is that I am literally addicted to being in the sun.
Yeah, you are.
And I think that over time, and I'm starting to see now, like little more freckles, which I personally like the look of freckles.
Yeah, but
But
sunspot.
sunspots, and then like I haven't been to
Wrinkles.
a professional dermatologist to tell me like, hey, this spot looks weird maybe or whatever, So there's things that come along with that over time, as you age, I think it was probably when I turned 30, because I had like a skin cancer scare with someone in my family, that I decided that I was going to be so much more intentional about sunscreen.
And I will tell you, the very first thing the dermatologist told me is she said, do you wear sunscreen every day on your face when you go out every day? And I said, yeah, it's the first thing I do before I put on my
And that
makeup.
was in your routine that
and
you gave
she
us.
said that is the absolute number one.
Mm.
If you don't do anything else, that is the number one most important thing to do, because as even she was saying, our screens give off UV rays, like even if you're not outdoors, that age our like and cause
in your
wrinkling
car.
in your car when you're driving, even if it's cloudy, like
Yep.
she was like, that is the most important thing, to make sure your skin is just not getting extra wrinkly for no reason.
Right. And I like to be on that same like balance, what you're saying, like that struggle is being outdoors and in the sun or at the beach or at the pool brings me so much joy.
Yeah.
I will probably never stop doing that, and there's a part of me that has to kind of accept that I may get more wrinkles or sunspots maybe, but that for my health
And happiness.
I need to do something to protect myself.
Yeah.
For aging well, but also aging well and keeping my joy and happiness to do the things that I really love to do. Like
It's
you're
all
not
a
gonna
balance. Yeah.
what you do will show up on your body or
Yes.
in your body. So just choose what you're doing to make sure it's something that really brings you joy.
Yeah, totally. And then the next thing, which you kind of touched on at the beginning, was like how our metabolisms change, obviously. Notice this again in my 30s, a couple of years into my 30s, like just, before, if I wanted to lose a few pounds, I would cut out things and I would be like, oh, there we go. Great. I'm starting to see a change. And now it's like a lot more effort and energy has to go into what I'm fueling my body with. And this isn't like some health podcast or anything like that, but I do like kind of what you were just saying about the sun. Like I do believe life is about balance, because I also find tons of joy with like eating out and having like good food.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean like, oh, I get so much joy from like McDonald's. I mean like going and indulging in like good food. I love good meals and cooking
and
restaurants, like,
dinner parties.
Yes, and I'm never going to give that up. And so if it means I can't be the size 0, that's fine, but I do want to make sure like I have good balance and that I am noticing how my metabolism's changing and kind of changing habits with it, so that I can, it's not about like I don't want to be a certain weight. It's about like that I can be healthy and still enjoy my life as I age and not be bogged down by weight or health issues. So just like being aware of like how our metabolism changes and just changing with it. I think it's hard to recognize, and sometimes we fight it because we're like, no, I like to do things this way, but sometimes you're like, wait, this doesn't actually work anymore for me.
And a lot of what we're talking about, I feel like, as far as aging on this physical part, is outward, like what we see on the outside, like what our body looks like, how our skin is starting to change, whatever. But like internally, our bodies are aging as well. Our organs, our muscles, our joints, all of that is aging. And so we have to also step up the game a little bit in making sure that we're staying internally healthy. So not just our physical body looks good, age appropriate,
Yeah, but it's acting and functioning at its peak as long as possible.
And sometimes we even say this to each other, like, it's not that I want to step up my exercise game so that I look better, even though that is definitely true.
A perk, yeah.
I want to be strong. Yeah. I want to be fit so that I can
go on the hikes.
Yes, so I can
travel.
Yeah, travel so I can do, more adventurous things so that when I have a child, I'm strong enough to do all the things with that child. And that's about aging well. so
Yeah.
that this awesome body we have,
Can
it's
stay
meant
at,
to, yeah.
at its highest potential as long as possible.
Yeah, because we sometimes feel like we're aging and getting older, but our bodies, I mean, they can be in prime. My grandmother is in her 80s and she does kickboxing and weights like every day. And
Yeah.
she does so many things. And yes, she's aging in a lot of ways, so she's not as sharp in some ways, but we have control over a lot of parts of how our journey's going.
Yeah, and I think kind of what we were saying at the beginning, that we know age is a privilege and all of that. And I just want to say that personally, when I see older
Yes.
women who, and when I say age well, I don't mean like are beautiful older women because they look like blah, 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 but like women who have like stepped into that confidence of their
Oh,
age.
I'm so glad you just said that.
There's nothing like
It's-
more beautiful to me. And I'm not kidding. It's not like a nice gesture to say.
No.
It's like, I'm thinking of Bonnie, who we've had on this
Yep.
podcast many times. Like, I think she is so gorgeous, and like the age that she is and how she carries
Yep.
herself and how she takes care of herself.
And
she's like, she totally sinks into her age in the best way possible. And it's
Yes.
very attractive to me.
Yes, and we met actually a woman, I won't say her
Oh.
name because we may try to have her on the podcast sometime,
Yeah.
at one of the Tuesday jam sessions at Ferndware. And I'm not even sure what her age was, but she was giggling at us that because we went up to her and told her, "You are so beautiful and just radiating." And she was older than us.
I think she was like in her late 50s, because when she said her age, it shocked us, not because like that's old, but just because the way she carried herself, like she was so like exuberant.
Yes, and so there is something to say about that, owning that every stage of your life and not just like throwing yourself away almost because you've hit a certain age or whatever. Like, wow, what you said about confidence as an older woman or an older man.
Like, let me tell you, I'd
Woo!
pick Diane Keaton over any one of these little celebrity
Come on
bitches
with
any
it.
day.
Come
Okay?
on with it.
Sorry. Next is mentally aging well. And this is really just two categories. It's about continuing your learning, like never getting to the point where you feel like, I don't know this. I don't want to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to figure it out. Something I love about my father, he's in his late 70s or mid 70s, and he is constantly learning like computer stuff, or he's learning like language around different things, and he is so sharp mentally. And so many other people his age, like when we're around people his age, like it shocks me because he's so with it and conversation and in humor and everything, and he attributes it, and I totally would attribute it to how active he stays mentally. Like he does not shut down. He's still working, only because he's that type. I'm not saying you should always just keep working in your 70s like you deserve to retire, but he's always very active mentally, and it shows. His father, my grandfather, was the same way, that even in his 90s, like he had onset Alzheimer's, but it took a long time for him to get there because he was so mentally active.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I know there's a lot of science behind, like neuroscience behind all of this too, and like how our brains are, like neuroplasticity and stuff, that we have the power to actually keep changing and stretching our brains so they don't like just wear out and shut down, So learning something new, learning a language, picking up an instrument.
Well, and I'll say, like, that feeling when you're learning something. Like for me, I can remember specifically this moment in college where because I took Latin all through college, because I did it in high school as well. And this Latin teacher that I had, this professor, he was just such a great teacher. And I was going a lot deeper into the language at that point, being at the college level. And I just remember sitting in class one day, and I literally felt like new pathways were being like carved into my brain. And it's such a good feeling.
Same.
And it's like something that you have to seek out, because when you're younger, it's like you're always learning, because that's literally your job, is you're at school all day learning. And so I think we've got to make time to be continually feeling that feeling in
Yeah.
some aspects of our life.
I know this is so cheesy, but
Can't wait. I love cheese.
And my sister-in-law will kill me for saying it's cheesy, but they just made a home gym at their house, and they were saying they wanted me to paint a like inspirational slogan on the wall to just like pump them up in there. And the one that they chose says, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that sounds a little cheesy, but so true. And it's that like, if you don't feel that moment of discomfort where you're like, ugh, like that's the same as like working your muscles out and you're like, shit, this is too heavy for me. Oh, it hurts, You're growing and changing, you know?
It's really important for our brains to age well by continuing learning. And in
And-
a way that you can continue learning is putting yourself in new situations and around people who are different from you and learning beyond just the perspective you have. Like that's also a really good way to keep aging well mentally.
And it's kind of what we were talking about with our routine and risk episode, you know, putting yourself in spontaneous situations where there's a little bit of surprise in your life. If you have your life just completely planned out, routine, every single thing, there's no room for surprise, no room for error, but then no room for challenge or growth.
100%. Oh, okay.
Love it.
Love it.
Finally.
Finally.
Our last category is about our emotional and spiritual growth and how to age well. And again, I would say the privilege of, if you see it that way and respect your internal self like a dear friend, the emotional learning that you get to know about yourself and others as you age is a real privilege.
Yeah, it really is. And like, obviously we said like the wisdom that comes with that, but you also start to figure out like things that don't serve you anymore. And I always hear from people like who are older than me in different stages of life. They're like, oh, when you hit 40, like you don't care what people think about you and you're actually more in your skin and you're doing the things that serve you best. And like I felt even that in a way when I turned 30, I felt, I feel like every year I'm kind of settling more and more into just who I am. And I'm not trying in certain ways that I was trying before. Like I'm not so chasey about stuff. Like I'm just being me more.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I never was like not me, but there's all these like pressures, like societal pressures that you just kind of start to shed as you age, and that feels good.
And I think that's a knowledge of self and also a more awareness of time. Like
Like how much
when
time
you're
we
young,
have.
you're like,
That's actually really insightful.
I'm gonna live forever. And it's like David White actually has, our favorite poet, he says a lot about when you're younger, someone's going to die. And then it's like when you're older, you're going to die.
You're going to be the one to die.
Yeah, and it's just, not to be like morbid or too extreme like that, but as you get older, you're just like, that, and you say this a lot, like time is our most valuable possession, and you don't start to really feel that until you enter into a certain age. And I think that is gold wisdom, because you start shedding off the things that don't matter, that don't serve you. And I think I have it in my brain, one of David White's poems, it's called Sweet Darkness, the last part of it.
First of all, you gotta read the poem Sweet Darkness by David White. It's incredible.
Especially for hard times of your life, and also for times where you're alone. For quarantine was...
But tell the quote from...
So the last part of it, it says, sometimes it takes aloneness and the sweet darkness, the confinement of your aloneness, to know that anyone or anything that does not bring you alive is too small for you.
I'll cry.
I know.
Why is that?
Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to know that anyone or anything that does not bring you alive, is too small for you. And it's not like, you're too small for me, but also
it's learning. And I think also pandemic stuff taught us this too. It's like, if we're gonna do things, it's gonna be stuff we want to do that makes us feel alive and makes us feel good about what we're supposed to be here doing, like aligning to our purpose, aligning
Your
to who
journey.
we are. And it's just kind of like, I'm not going to fill my time with stuff
Frivolous.
anymore that doesn't serve me or what I'm trying to do. And that's not egotistical. It's actually really healthy, and it's about boundaries. And I think that when we're aging in our emotions, like we start to really find out those things that make us feel alive.
Yeah.
And it's easier to say, does it align with it? I gotta say no.
Yeah.
Does it align with it? Then I'm definitely saying yes, because it ignites me. And it's a good thing, and it's an exciting part about aging.
It is.
It is.
I think that's why we kind of lumped emotional and spiritual together.
Yeah.
Because what you just said is like emotional, you think of feelings and stuff, but like you're learning something about yourself and others that keeps you on your specific track. And that's honestly, again, I can't believe we do it every time, but that is why we do this podcast. That is exactly the young Pueblo quote, that this conversation with others, with a dear friend inside of you, to keep you aligned to your journey.
So if you enjoyed this conversation, share it with a friend. Let them know that you're thinking about them. And if you think this would be helpful, get us out there to your friends, y'all, your dear friends.
Don't forget, you can watch us if you want to see how we're aging.
It's good. It's good. We're 80 today on this episode.
I'm
and
80.
I'm 80.
And it's episode 80. If you have been listening to us since the beginning,
We love
thank you for
you.
your support. It means so much.
It really
Reach
does.
out to us so we know you're listening.
Follow us on Instagram at dearfriend.podcast. Also, we're recording here at Fernware, which is an awesome studio in Oak Cliff, Dallas, Texas. You can follow them on Instagram at Fernware. And
the music that you hear at the beginning and end of each episode is from our band, Sister. You can look us up at sistertheband.com.
And a little thank you to Will Flato for editing and recording this podcast. Hope you guys have a great week and age well. Live purdy.